Hello, friends, and welcome to Week 3, Day 2 of the Challengers League. My name is Sierra Dawn, joined here by Deserex and Beatdown Boulevard. Normally, when we begin a broadcast during our summer split, I like to talk about how the weather's so nice. It's a beautiful summer day. It's actually starting to storm here. Joys of Canada. I know Canada's really big, so you don't get the storms over there, but...
It's a sunny day over here, Sierra. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm in the other CA where it's currently 74 degrees, sunny weather. It's nice. Pretty nice.
Hey,
it's been cold here for a while, so
real
I'm
temperature, please, Eric. I don't know what 74
I'm
is.
sorry.
Nonsense.
I'm sorry. I thought most of our players are based in the U.S., you know?
It's actually like almost 50-50.
It kind of is, actually.
We got some
We had our Canadian
really good
before.
Canadian players. So, hey, don't count them out, Deserex, all right?
Yeah.
Also,
Fair.
brag about it. Oh, yeah, the weather's beautiful over here. We're having a great time.
Sunny
Okay.
California, baby!
Okay. I see you. But hey, hopefully, over here on the broadcast, no matter where anybody is, we can all be having a wonderful time. And, of course, be kicking off our broadcast. Of course, we're taking this opportunity to celebrate Pride. So happy Pride Month to everybody out there. Shout out, of course, to our observers, members behind the scene and on the scene to celebrate. Y'all are amazing and we love you as well, members of our community. You're valued and you are loved. And if anybody's looking to be picking up stickers and supporting a cause too, Deserex, I know that you had an opportunity to look at the Team Fish taco stickers. They're so cute.
They're so cute. I bought 2 packs of them, and I don't know when they're going to be delivered. It's the 6-pack. I believe 100% of the proceeds go to the Trevor project, and Team Fish Taco are going to match 50% of that. That is absolutely dope.
It's so good. The stickers are so cute. And it's such a worthy cause, so make sure to go check that out. And if not, hey, just celebrate Pride with us on today. We do have a little bit more than just that for today's broadcast, though. And to be starting it off, something we got to do yesterday was to vote for our Play of the Week. And to reflect on that a little bit, first off, check out this play coming up from Quacker.
So, because it's still just a static shift, even how impressive that is. And now Quacker, here he comes. He's got that dominance, and he's looking at a 1v4. He can't get Trevor. Trevor can't get to him, but he still takes down the kills, and Quacker is a monster!
This Croc is online. Quacker keeps making plays, and it is an overwhelming success for Supernova.
Yeah, I know you have some thoughts about that one.
I mean, first of all, it's the first time I'm in one of these instead of the play-by-play, so let's go. But honestly, Quacker got robbed in week 1, so I'm very happy he's getting his due respect this time around because that play was crazy. And I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest and on brand, that arrow clip was crazy. I can't believe that didn't win, but it is what it is. Okay.
I know Quacker got robbed week 1.
So this time Arrow gets robbed, you know?
I definitely do think in this week 2 Arrow got robbed.
He did.
Hey,
I should have won both of them. Period.
All right, but I don't know about that one because I still am giving my nod to Arrow on that one. But do have to say that Quacker is the only person that has actually been in contention for Play of the Week for 2 weeks in a row. So, hey, he's winning that award at least.
Finalist.
Yeah, I mean, he could be looking for 3. We've had some good plays. He could have a good play today or tomorrow, you know?
It could happen. We'll have to see. We'll have to see later for that. Something we've been missing, though, on the broadcast so far for our summer split has been our On the Range, and it's finally back. So check this out, of course, with Mazel.
I'm a little nervous. Never been in a documentary before.
It's alright, just remember to look at the camera. So can we start with what exactly a Challengers Drive is?
Well, it all started before franchises were even a thing. No fancy companies or systems. So really what we have today was born out of tradition. Our job as ranchers is simple. Make sure the players get where they're going.
And where's that?
Well, the LCS.
With the old Academy trail decommissioned, what's it been like adapting to the new path?
Well, our approach hasn't really changed, but as for the critters, I'd rather you hear straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
The news surprised everyone. Everyone was kind of scared and worried, you know, am I going to even have a job in a few weeks, that kind of thing. So it was a really rough situation for some of us. But you know, we kept playing solo queue in Europe, and everyone continued grinding and kind of hope for the best. And to our fortune, you know, Team Liquid, they really believe in us. They really believe in the system that they have in place. You know, they believe in Spawn, our coach. So, you know, they said, hey, you know, we're still going to run with it. You know, keep the same roster, and we were all really, really grateful.
I mean, I was just sweating my ass, like, just like, bro, like, am I gonna, like, is this the way it ends? You know, like, am I just gonna, you know, I've been waiting here the whole time to play. I finally think I'm gonna go, and then it finds out, you know, it's done. But yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful that EG decided to keep the team, and I have one more chance, you know, to win challenges.
Well, it's about time to get started. Let's see what these critters have in store for us this time on the range.
Always go with those friends that shake the bridge too. We'll see a little bit of shaking up the bridge here. See a lot of damage back. Oh my God! A triple kill and make it a quadra for Arrow.
What did this go? Their team beat back. They want to finish the game. They got 50 seconds still to Baron buff.
Wait, that's confidence. Respect.
Oh, there goes Pirates! Oh my God!
And now Quacker, here he comes. He's got that dominance, and he's looking at a 1v4. He can't get Trevor. Trevor can't get to him, but he still takes down the kills, and Quacker is a monster!
Spyrax almost lands the root onto Spawn, but he will sidestep it. Now the re-engage. They're back in onto Spyrax, trying to take down the Nico. They got him! Nico down. Teleport flank coming in, but Masu's popping off. He's gotten a double kill already. Lassie has not done enough damage. Will only claim Yuji, but Faisal's joined in on the fight now. Triple kill to Masu. Quadra kill to Masu.
He wants it.
He's going for it.
He's got a res.
He wants it. Masu with one more auto. Penta kill.
What is Michelle doing at the end?
Those transitions.
No, those were gold.
Those transitions.
What? I don't even know what we're talking about. That was amazing.
You know,
No, I'm not saying they're bad.
Okay, good.
It's so good.
I know a lot of this comes from Kangas, by the way, because I've actually worked alongside him in like having the shoots, and he'll just have you like do the most random freaking things, man. And yeah, Mazel, he leans into it as much as I do, and we get gems like that.
I don't think that any of us could be as good as that transition. You know, with the lasso, we have
that's
our
my favorite one,
standings
too.
over here. So let's see if this will work. For them
Get
up.
him.
Bring them over here.
Wrangle him. Hey!
Oh, it was close enough. It was close enough. All right. All right. So the elephant out of the room right away. TLC, very, very good. But other teams that have kind of been stepping up or kind of over exceeding expectations that you two have had so far going into the split.
One for me is going to be Team Fish Taco. They were at the bottom of the standings at the end of week 2, and they get a 2-0 against EGC. Now they're booming right back up the ladder, which is very, very nice. The other one that's below expectations is going to be DSG, though. Currently 7-7. This is a team a lot of us had around the top 3. I know a lot of community tier lists had them at number 1, but you know, it's a lot of inconsistency coming out of this squad. Hopefully they can iron that out because they got 3 champs on that roster. You got to get something better.
Yeah, I think for me, the other thing that stands out, Team Fish Taco is very interesting because they've actually, not only did they 2-0 EGC, as you pointed out, Eric, but they've actually split against some of the better teams in the league. They recently split against TLC. I believe they did split against FlyQuest as well. Actually, I do remember that game because I owe you dinner because of that now. But that's not neither here nor there. That's pretty exciting. Wildcard, top 4. You love to see it. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, Wildcard and Fear, I think, is really exciting to see where they are on the standings, considering that these two teams going into spring, we are so curious about, and especially too looking ahead to summer. It's a little bit of a rough start, especially when we're talking about Fear, so it's exciting to see the turnaround and where they've managed to get onto the standings from there. But we'll touch on that actually a little bit more in just a little bit, because our first matchup of the day is actually going to be Cincinnati Fear going up against Disguise. I feel like this game is going to be so exciting for both of these teams, considering the runs that they've had so far. Later on at EGC that you were talking about, Pete, is going up against Supernova, a team that I've actually been really excited to see perform so far here in our summer split. But I don't know. I think this is going to be a really fun day over on the Path to LCS channel, guys.
I'm not sure who's going to take some of these games. I know Fear are on the upswing, but Disguise, you never know with them. They've been kind of like going on a tie spree with a lot of these matches, man. Yeah, a streak of ties. I think every week they get at least 2 ties. And then Supernova, hey, they're growing, they're developing. Evil Geniuses are currently at a struggle, so even that match could be a banger.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. I'm pretty confident in this first one being really tight and contested. Fear, of course, have been looking better and better. Yesterday, by getting that 2-0 in their last series, they actually managed to get a positive record for the first time here. So it's a good look as we get towards the end of the first round robin. And DSG are kind of going backwards a little bit. They had a positive record. They keep splitting series, even though they would win some of them. But now, lately, it's been a little tough for them here. I talked to Tomio a little bit going into today, and he told me how inconsistency is the biggest thing on their mind. They understand that it's been a struggle for them, and it's something they're trying to work on. And they say, it's part of integrating 2 players in the more important roles of mid and AD carry, considering this current meta.
Well, considering EGC and Disguise have had trouble so far starting off the split, the reason I can never count them out as we're looking at this roster of Disguise for our very first series is because of the caliber of skill that we do have on these teams. That's the thing. Yes, this team can be inconsistent. Yes, we see those ties. But when you're looking at the names that you have here on the squad, you know if it's going to be a good day or everything starts coming together, that things can really quickly start flipping on its head for Fear.
I mean, the biggest problem I have with the squad I mentioned earlier is how consistent they are, because if you look at each and every one of these players, they are gifted. They are mechanically gifted. They can perform when they need it. Meech back on CLG Challengers looked great alongside Breezy. Young had his standout moments back in Golden Guardians, but as a unit, we're not getting that mid to late game consistency that this roster really needs.
Yeah, I gotta agree. And the thing I look at with this roster too, particularly, is Tomio. He's a player who we've seen around the scene, the developmental scene, for a couple of years now, and has had some ups and downs. I think some of the best things we've seen from him was actually in finals when Cloud9 Challengers won at the end of spring. And that's kind of where I was thinking that Tomio himself, I thought we saw all we could from him, but then that finals match was so impressive from him in particular. And I'm hoping to see more of that Tomio going into this year. He's had some highlight moments, but along the rest of DSG, they're still trying to figure things out.
Let's dive a little bit deeper in Tomio so far for our summer split then, considering what we got to see in spring. Because of course, Tomio is going to be someone that we feature going on into today's match. Checking out a little bit of the plays that they have before Desrex.
I mean, with Tomio, going back to what Beat was saying, right, at the very end of spring, Tomio looked absolutely amazing. We had a lot of questions coming into summer, though, as to how Tomio is going to perform, because the lanes aren't going to be as strong as they were in spring. And for the most part, it's kind of feeling like a coin flip. I think you could speak better to this, Beat.
Yeah, I agree. The fact is, I think Meech, even though he was laning with Breezy, who we consider to be very good at the moment, even with AoE struggles, he's looking good. It's a good fit with Zeyzal as well, so I think Meech has been playing fine, but overall, you just don't have the dominance in every single lane like you were talking about here. Young has his struggles in the laning phase. It isn't that consistent point of pressure that either MNS or Diplex were able to give Tomio in spring. So we're seeing how Tomio is able to play around that, and things go really well, especially when Young does find the success.
And now Disguise, looking for that success, has to be taking down Cincinnati Fear. So I'm not going to lie, I was really excited for Fear coming into summer. And that first week had me so scared. And it was just the 1 week. It was just the 1 week. After that, things have cleaned up. They managed to get themselves a nice third on our leaderboards. And things really looking up for the squad.
Yeah, even with that 1 week, I do want to point out Shochi was performing incredibly well, even in their losses. I think Fear right now are going through growing pains, but they're starting to figure that out, right? They had a change in the top lane, a change in the bottom lane. We now have Philip and JJ there. With Trevor no longer being part of this roster, this means you have to relearn how you are going to coordinate on the battlefield. Just now, I mean, it's what, 3 back-to-back 2-0s? I feel like Fear are finally finding that coordination.
Absolutely, and this is a roster where things were struggling, of course. It's interesting pairing them up against DSG as well, because they're also same core with a mix-up of players. Of course, a mix-up in different roles in particular. So it's good to see that Fear have been able to find their stride, even though DSG are still in the midst of seeking it out. But so far, Fear, they look really good at the moment here. I mean, the one standout player for me, I mean, we could talk about the whole roster, is Perry in the jungle. the beginning of this year, we wanted to see more from him when he was playing over on Dignitas Academy, when they got second in Proving Ground last summer. It was a good start for him, but he even talks about himself, how much he didn't contribute as much as he wanted to be. And I think in spring, we saw more of what Perry was expecting from himself. Even when we had that interview with him the other day, I actually interviewed him. He said that he feels like he's making progress, but he's still not at where he wants to be as a player. Very hungry, very determined to grow and continue developing.
I mean, for the most part, Perry has been doing a good job when Fear's on the battlefield in taking a lot of these flanking angles and setting up fights for Fear. It's one of the things that Perry is the most vocal about when it comes to this squad. You have Minui and JJ who work a lot of the macro of the team, but Perry is there for the team fights. Perry is there to get things going. And as you said, B, he's been constantly improving. I've very much been enjoying his play, especially with his time in Cincinnati Fear.
Thing for me, as long as we get to see that continuing development of the players here, this is Challengers League. This is the opportunity for that development. So even if somebody's not there yet, as long as they recognize that there's that growth and they are moving on forward, ultimately that's the thing that is the most exciting and what this is really all about. Also, before we get into our next point, you see the little thing below? Make sure you're spamming in chat who you think is going to be winning here between Disguise and Fear. I know the Disguise fans are normally pretty strong, but so are the Cincinnati Fear ones. Seems that they're winning out so far, but we wanted to go back a little bit more on these teams. And the record so far, Deserex coming into our summer split.
Yeah, it's been an interesting thing about momentum, especially with Cincinnati Fear, because so far they've only been 2-0'd by FlyQuest and TLC, and a lot of that was trying to find their own place within the league and get their identities pretty much straightened up. And for the most part, they've been on the upswing. You know, it's been back-to-back 3 2-0s coming in, including the one against EGC. So we can conclude at this point that Fear are entering the flow state. But for Disguised, however, they're entering the why can't I get the damn toaster settings right state. They keep producing ties over and over and over. And a lot of this is because they're not the most active team on the Rift when it comes to mid to late game. Sometimes they win out because they steamroll these teams very early on in the early games through laning. Other times it's other teams that don't know how to make that same impact in the mid to late, and that's how they get their wins. But you can't keep relying on that. For Disguise, these losses for them have been very quiet and slow deaths in games. I want a proactive Disguise to hit the Rift.
And anyone who wants the TLDR on what Deserex just said, we summed it up in a couple of pretty quick images for you, all right? So first, Cincinnati Fear. So far going on to summer. Good sub. Some good stuff. Cannot so far say quite the same thing when we're looking at DSG, not songs, but don't fret. Don't worry, because there is still so much more that we could see this happen. And I think that there is the potential for that DSG stonks going up. I think with this series, there is that potential going on for this today.
I think so too. I think this is kind of like some risky investment stuff though, right? Because you never know which way it's going to go. They got wins against TLC and FlyQuest over on Disguise, but ooh, those are just 1-1s. How does our account balance look?
We're about to find out as our match is ready and our draft on the horizon. So time to see between these teams who's going to be taking that game one. I'll catch up with you two after.
All right, thank you, Sierra. In game one, beatdown. You ready for a practice cast?
Of course, bro. And I gotta say, your real quick comment about the whole stonks thing, you're sounding like someone from Wall Street Bets. So I'd be real careful about listening to advice from Eric, specifically about investing.
You know, I got my advice from Cubby. It's secure.
Oh,
yeah, I've been on Wall Street Bets.
Oh my god. I mean, what if he goes to Wall Street Bets also? We never asked him.
You know what? It might work out. It's only worked out once for Wall Street Bets, and that was the whole the whole GameStop thing that happened before. Yeah, to the moon.
I mean, it only works if you sold while it was worth a lot.
I'm a gambling man, and it's worked out at least on these bets. B-time, you still owe me Korean fried chicken. Let's get into the matchup right now as the bans are coming out rapid fire. So far, Cincinnati Fear are going to take away the LeBlanc from Young, as well as the Kindred. Of course, LeBlanc has kind of popped up in priority due to the stack Shiv. It was shown before that you can use distortion and distort back, and that counts towards your movement.
They're changing that, but yeah,
makes it really easy to clear wave.
Yeah, next patch that should be phased out, but it's true.
Thank goodness.
Everything we're seeing here for the most part, S tier picks. Wukong is a huge 1-4 pair, really common jungler at the moment, so you just want to remove some of the strong options there. The Kennen is interesting. I mean, Fake God is one of the players we see who does index into that cannon. I personally think it is very strong as well. So it's interesting that they pay that respect early, want to remove one of the safe blinds in the top lane.
So now we're waiting for the first pick to come out of Disguised. Disguised have done their homework, however. We'll take away the Wukong from Perry, as well as Seraphine from the bot lane of Cincinnati Fear. They have been more eager to run a lot of these old school matchups. Even the Ziggs was something they pulled out yesterday. First pick coming out for Zeyzal will be the Rel. Get that hard engage going.
That's right, and now a lot of options here in response. Milio's up, it was hovered. I'm imagining that's where we're going towards for Fear's side. Alistar has been that common answer. Both champions who can interrupt the Rel combo that we've seen come out since her rework. But instead, Fear immediately, Vi, Ahri, really strong mid-jungle duo, wasting no time, and kind of explaining that Ken and Ben a little bit more, because these champs, they want to get in there.
Yeah, they want to get in there, and it's the perfect duo to do it with. As we said, Shochi's been performing oh so well on this split, and now you have Perry on the Vi, which makes it easy to get a lot of these picks. They complement each other so well, so Cincinnati Fear, a very powerful part of the draft to start off. The response for Disguised, however, is going to be that Ivern, which is now starting to come back into the meta beat.
Yeah, very cool, awesome, cool champion that's really strong right now. I'm a big fan, Eric, and it's good for Tomio because I mean what we've been seeing them build, even though Daisy is very overtuned, is that support build. It's very cheap, it's low econ, and your ability to shield people is insane. It's disturbing. So overall, we're seeing this one pop up a lot.
Okay. What kind of cool was that beat? Was that a sarcastic
I think it's very
cool?
clear what kind of cool it was.
Okay. I'm glad
because I hate this champion.
I'm glad we got everything balanced out. That shield already paid a big impact in yesterday's game. Forget what match it was, but it was like a last-second shield. Slither of health remains. Ivern can clutch out that way. The Alistair you had alluded to earlier, now getting hovered by Cincinnati Fear. They're going to lock that in.
Yeah, now Silas ban. Right now, Fear. Young literally did this exact thing yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's just a champion that is so disgusting when he steals the Alistar ultimate, so that's a ban I'm expecting to see for Cincinnati Fear.
It's a standard move to go for it, especially taking away that unbreakable, and yeah, there's the ban. It's also something Young is very used to. Last split, he pulled that off quite a few times against Alistair's, and it's kind of what put his name up there as we get into the second phase of the bans. How are we feeling about this first phase, Beat?
I mean, for DSG side, it's looking really good. You have a lot of safety, not just in the shielding and the peel that's offered from your support jungle of DSG, but you also have Xayah, who is going to be able to protect herself very well too. Beach is going to be able to put a lot of damage, be able to protect himself on top of everything else we're seeing here, and it's going to make this Vi Ahri combo a little more difficult to find value from, because Fear, if they're going to go in there, there's going to be a lot of responses from DSG who are going to be able to protect their AD carry. So the target selection and ability to find out team fights is going to be so important for Fear.
Yeah, I do like the answers that Disguise has, because what happens if Perry presses cease and desist on Meech? I just pressed my R. Oh well, F the police, and he just gets on out of there, you know? There's no problems whatsoever when you have that level of disengage for DSG. However, the pick, is it going to keep coming? There's no way you're going for these. You already got your mid locked in, so we're looking for the marksman, and it's going to be a misfortune locked in for Fear.
All right, I was wondering why the Akali ban, but that one makes sense. You're picking something very mobile, and Young, if he gets on that pick, he'll be getting there into the back line. That's an interesting one. I haven't been seeing much misfortune lately, even in the last couple of games since we got over to 13-2. So the build that Manui is going for is something I'm going to be very curious about. Besides Static Shiv, it's probably going to be built. I think we can all just accept that. And I want to see how they're going to round out this comp, because Philip now in the top lane, I think needs to be on something a little beefier at this point. Maybe Sion is still up and available, something I could very well see them go into.
I would also really like something that gets into the backline a little bit easier. I know you got the Rel to try and stop Minui, but for those team fights, that the Misfortune Ultimate is going to be pretty significant if you don't position well for DSG. All right, this is not a bad answer. If you want to go for it, it can stop a lot of this forward momentum that Fear want to go with, given they have that Ahri, given they have the Vi, the Alistair. So getting some protection for Young with the Emperor's Divide.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, like, this is gonna be this is hard for Fear. Early on, you have a lot of skirmishing power as the Vi Ahri there for Perry and Chochi, but as time goes on, things are gonna get really difficult for them, just in the fact that you have this absurd amount of disengage on DSG side. So much for them to be able to answer the all-in potential here. And that's why I'm kind of liking some of the later picks. You have a lot of range with the Misfortune, especially that ultimate and team fight. Philip is bringing out the GP, which we haven't been seeing a lot of lately, but is an exciting one because it's another way for you to kind of control areas and kite it out, which is what they're going to have to do with what DSG have crafted.
And it gives them a source of scaling as well, having that Gangplank. My biggest worry is going to be pretty much echoing a lot of what you said. It's just that Disguised have had pretty good early games. I think it's their most consistent stat over everything else they've been doing on the Rift. And if they get ahead this time, there's not much of a chance for Fear to actually take these fights into the mid game. So Fear, they're going to have to fight pretty feisty, especially in the early if they do want to find themselves with the lead. But now we're headed to the Rift. For first game of the day, ignore those signs. It is Disguised versus Cincinnati Fear.
Right, and as it says in the bottom left of your screen, be a champion, subscribe now. 50% of the revenue goes towards the players here and teams in Challengers League. By subbing, you're putting money directly into the teams and players' pockets. And you get some cool emotes. Like that one you're seeing there. The Deserex Flex. I almost called it Kangas. Sorry. The lack of hair,
no.
You know, it's all the same to me.
Beat.
Yeah.
I can't even recover from that. There's no comeback. I just die.
We got him, I guess.
100-0'd, man.
All right, I'm solo casting, guys. I can do this. My play-by-play the other day apparently was kind of good, so you know.
I've gone from, what was it, Hispanic Freak to now just Kangas. Why can't I be Deserex, Beat?
You are Deserex. What are you talking about? You're Brother Beltran.
You know what? I will take that as opposed to Kangas any day. I'll even take Sir Butt Kick. That name's still open.
That seems good.
Now, let's see where these junglers are starting off here. I haven't seen an Ivern in a while. Beatdown, I'm going to let you give me a refresher right now on what this champion does.
I mean, not an... Ivern, you know what he does. Like, he doesn't farm in that traditional sense. He just kind of preps camps and takes them. It's very interesting to see Ivern players go for some of these invades as well, because you see them go being able to very quickly smite away camps as they try and take them out. Really, the big thing, as long as we see Tomio continue to go for the builds we've seen him and other players go for, it's going to be more about the shielding and support that he's going to be able to offer towards the rest of the team. This is kind of almost Enchanter-like version. And also, Daisy is still really broken. Yeah,
Daisy's absolutely busted. In a team fight, you're trying to DPS someone, Daisy's just chilling there like, hi, how are you? Okay, that's your day.
How are you? How you doing?
But hey, it's still against a Vi, which is very, very strong in this current meta. I still like that you do have this pairing of the Vi and Ahri for Shochi and Perry.
Yeah.
If you're going to find early picks, I mean, this is going to be the duo that does it.
Right, and we got to keep our eyes on them if you're fans of Cincinnati Fear. The thing I'm also very interested in is how these comps are going to interact as we get to those later parts of the game. Early on, level 6, Rift Herald fight, I'm liking Cincinnati Fear's ability in the top side to be able to fight out, skirmish, and things like that. But later on, hey, both these teams have so many ways to... Oh, this is the invading I was talking about.
Oh, man. Perry sees that he's not alone in this jungle, getting chased away by Tomio.
Oh, Fake God's here, too.
So sad it'd be stealing away the red buff. Perry, unfortunately, has to deal with the misery that is Ivern.
It happens. I mean, Fake God has prio. Young has prio. It's going to be very easy for him to just... Look at him. He's just walking through the mid lane here. That level 1 chunk onto Shochi, on top of being outranged by Azir. It just makes it so easy for you to get this push. And it means that Tomio is the one who has free reign on the map right now.
I'm suddenly feeling like the odds are going to be a 1-1 tie. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, relax. It's 3 minutes. We're not done yet.
I know it's 3 minutes. I know it's 3 minutes, but this is really, so far, a pretty good start coming out for Disguised. I mean, even Young, who has historically kind of struggled in lane, is doing well in chunking out Shochi and keeping this shoved up. It's taking away a lot of those early power pieces for Fear, but let's see if Fear can find one over on this top side. It's Perry trying to set up onto Fake God. Instead, just going to walk on out.
Yeah, I still believe that Fear are the ones who are going to need to keep the tempo up here. Even though we're seeing Tomio look for something as well, ensuring the lane shove comes through from Young. At this point, early objectives at that first dragon, you can see the priority is going to be pretty easily in DSG's favor, barring some kind of change or catastrophe. And that's why my eyes are on Perry and what he's going to be able to figure out right now. Oh yeah, you just got to go Shochi. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Shochi. Oh, that's a cannon wave too. That's definitely going to hurt. And Zeyzal is setting up over on this side. Shochi's going to be drowned out from a lot of CS right there. Young already taking the lead, and it's Disguised to have control of the Dragon area.
Yeah, and I want to finish what I was talking about earlier, but when we get late game, how these team fights are going to be playing out, it really seems like that both of these teams have ways to go in, but they also have ways to counterpunch. That you have a lot of all-in here with the Rel, with the Azir on DSG's side, and the answers are there. You have Shochi, who's very mobile. JJ is playing the Alistar, really good at making space for your carries. And you also have Philip on the Gangplank looking to kite things out. The key in these fights is really going to be who can kill the carry first. I know it sounds simple, but with all the factors in these team fights, that's really the best thing to look out for, as you're going to see a lot of particles on your screen later on.
I mean, I agree with you because it is so hard to get onto some of these carries. We talked about the disengage that Disguised has. Yeah, good luck getting through some of that if you want to take down Meech, if you want to take down Young. It'll be a tricky task for Cincinnati Fear, given that right now, Disguised are for the most part controlling a bit of this game. They've been chasing around where Perry's being, and now Perry getting a little bit of breathing room after that assault that he had in his bottom quadrant jungle will now go for an invade onto Disguise. But this is where you always got to be very, very careful. Fake God is eyeballing that side, but luckily far away from this side of the map is Tomio, so Perry should be able to clear this out.
Yeah, it's just Fake God paying respect to the fact that his jungler's on the other end of the map, and you are going to see Perry get 2 respawn camps there. That is a nice bit of XP that he's denying from Tomio. And Tomio just realizing now that, oh, well, my camps are gone, I suppose. Looks like Perry was here. So that will give him a bit of an experience lead as he goes to clear out the rest of his camps. You're seeing both teams not go for this first dragon. Rift Herald is probably what their eyes are set on in the coming minute and a half. And that's the big thing here, especially if you can get an advantage top. If you can set up a successful dive onto Philip, and that would really put him behind since he's already used that teleport and give you a great angle for the Herald.
See right there, Tomio, after getting his stuff stolen, knew exactly where Perry was going to be, knew he was going to go to his Raptor, so beats it to the rude dudes, smites that away. And now a fight over on the top side. Fake God looking to get the 1v1 against Philip.
Oh, nice flash.
Ooh, able to get the Vault Breaker through, but the flash comes in time for Fake God.
Yeah, nicely done, Perry. He has a few points in the queue, can go for another one, but he's just delaying Fake God's back ultimately. And it was a nice play, but Fake God manages to avoid it with a good use of his flash. I mean, props to Fake God, being able to keep his life there after the all-in.
And still trying to be a menace right now is Tomio. Invading over on this topside jungle. Zeyzal hopping to Minui. Ooh, you're going to have to burn your flash right here. Minui
he's dead.
is not in the spot you want to be. Yup. That's a rights. First blood goes over to Meech.
Yeah, I mean, good on him not using the flash there. And this is the tough thing about that misfortune. Low mobility, the Rel, it's so easy to run you down and get CC on top of you. So it's really hard for Minui to be in this lane 1v2. Meech and Zeyzal, they beautifully capitalize as it earns DSG that first rig. Oh, Fake God stayed in lane, though.
Oh, no.
No counter strike. He's dead. That's it.
Yeah. Doesn't have his counter strike. Can't block, can't stun, can't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the respawn. Philip burns his flash to be able to get away, but still a win for Fear on the top side.
Yeah, you absolutely take those. You do get some gold into Perry's pocket. You do allow Philip to crash this wave. Remember, this GP looking to scale, looking to get ahead if possible, and is going to be able to do some serious damage to DSG, who don't really have a true tank on their side. Yeah, you have Daisy, I guess, but, you know, barrels are AoE. SRX, so it doesn't matter.
Especially those barrels crit.
Oh, yeah.
In the late game. Gangplank has always been that absolute destructive force if he's able to get fed and scale up. But already, the first steps taken on the side of Cincinnati Fear to make that a reality. Caulfield's Warhammer as well as Sheen going to be completed for Philip. He builds up now. It's going to be Disguise starting off the Rift Herald. 3 members there. They've called up Meech and Zeyzal as well for the lane swap, sending Fake God into the bottom lane. JJ going to show up a little bit too late to just spot Shelly getting taken by Disguised.
Yeah, it's just more to get that little bit of information. With the timing on Philip's recall after that top dive, there just wasn't a way for Perry to actually risk going for the Herald. So even though they got a kill, you see the gold lead here in favor of DSG. That's likely going to increase as they look for a place to drop this Rift Herald. If they, who have plenty of dive tools, are able to set up a successful kill, that can be DSG looking to snowball this early game. You mentioned it in the pregame, Eric, how this is how DSG have gotten a lot of their wins, despite splitting a lot of their series overall. It's when they roll through the early game, and so far, it's been looking fine.
Here's the thing, though. Cincinnati Fear, I feel, are a team that can snap back at any given moment. For the Skies, they can't be complacent once they get this lead going. They have to make sure they stay proactive, and on top of this, for the most part, they have been. I do like the call of sending Meech and Zazel over towards that top side to make sure that Rift Herald became a reality. Now, gonna swap them right on back into their positions.
Yeah, and looking at Young, there's this opportunity for him to get the shove. He's already really getting up there in terms of wave clear. It means that he can move around with Tomio, set up a dive, top, set it up bot, wherever. Just make sure they get the maximum value out of the Herald. I mean, you gotta give props to Young. He's 20 CS up right now with really no jungle attention besides that one hover that we saw.
That was a big deal,
minute 3 or 4. No, because Shochi had TP, so he came right back.
Okay. I'm gonna say that's more Shochi egoing it for how long Shochi stayed around there. All right, catch out, nice assist. A chain of CC right onto Zazel. It's going to be an easy pick coming out for Shochi.
This is the stuff that we were looking for here. The strongest parts of this mid-jungle duo core are online, and hold on. It's chill.
I'm going to land, but the fight is towards Tomio. Meech has arrived. JJ is level 6, does have the Unbreakable. Shuffle going to be used. Young has to flash away. Shochi posing too much of a threat. Battle line's going to be drawn. No one else going to fall.
That was a very interesting exchange of tools across the board here. DSG continuing to try and push the pace, but it's Fear who end up walking up with the upper hand. Oh, Philip.
That was a very feisty bonk right there.
Yeah. He doesn't even have a full item yet. You're seeing Fake God really start to come online as well with the Jax. Are you looking around the rest of the map now? Big thing worth pointing out. Shochi's been pushed in the entire time. Well, guess what? He built the funny item, Eric. It means that he automatically has wave clear every lane against everyone, whether you like it or not. And it's going to actually open him up to have the ability to roam and look for plays as well.
It's not as obnoxious as it is on the LeBlanc because
it's
Fear Rush is an ultimate.
1% less obnoxious. This item's ridiculous.
I would give it 2.5% less obnoxious.
No! This item is disgusting.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I won't argue on that right there. It's absolutely gross. It feels like a wholesale static shiv meta. I don't know if you saw it. There's one of the games where we had like 3 or 4 players grabbing static shiv.
Yes. Yeah, I mean...
No more.
Yeah, I really hope... Well, I mean, so far it's not slated to change next patch from what I've seen. So, you know, that's cool. That's fine. It's fine. This is the life we have now.
It's fine. This is fine.
Whatever.
As
this
the flames burn around you.
Yeah, exactly. And now, Flames starting to close in on Fear. Remember, they're the ones who needed to be proactive. Perry's looking.
He's looking, but he's not finding anything. Zazel, just a hop, skip, and a jump right over that wall. It's still priority going over to Fear when you have 30 seconds before Infernal.
Right, and that's what Fear are trying to do. Set up a pick to get that setup for the Dragon, but it's going to be tough now. Ultimates coming back online for the side of Disguise, and Fear's comp really relies on bush control, being able to force DSG to walk into them. So this control over the river almost guarantees that Disguise are going to be able to get this second Dragon here. But Perry is in an interesting position on that bottom tri-brush. Maybe he's looking for a steal.
Say it relies on bush control when on the other side you have the champion that literally spawns bushes.
Right?
Makes it such a challenge, but there's Daisy running right after JJ. It's going to force Fear to back up and give Disguise the inside track onto this Dragon. They'll start up the Dragon. Pinch potential from Fear. Shochi on the other side. Again, this is going to be pretty challenging. You don't want Mini to get caught out over the wall. Zazel. Ooh, Minui's taking so much damage. Has to burn the flash, but here comes the teleport from Fake God. A Goomba Stomp right onto Minui. Meech has to survive. Will use the ultimate to create some space, create some distance, but there is a barrel coming out from Philip. Now Shochi needs to survive the onslaught coming through from Fake God. Getting stunned up. Shochi does get that space he needs, but it's Cincinnati Fear. Even though they do trade down for them and Dragon over for Disguised.
This is a big loss for Cincinnati Fear. Again, you're seeing how vulnerable Minui wasn't able to do much in this team fight. As soon as he's spotted out, they know Zeyzal is like, oh my god, like he's on my screen, kill him. That's illegal. So you are already a man down basically from the jump, and despite the best effort from Shochi and Perry to get one, Perry also ends up falling. Philip is getting to the point where his barrels really hurt, but he just isn't there yet, which means this fight, it was already hard from the beginning here. Fake God was able to contribute so much for Disguise.
Right there, Fear did cut their losses as much as possible, but it was still a lot given right back over to Disguise in that last skirmish. With that, what do Fear really have? I mean, Minui, you have to watch positioning like that. You have to be aware that over that wall, Disguise can be there, especially if you don't have vision, especially if you don't see Zeyzal on the map, and Disguise are the first ones to set up. Positioning is crucial for Fear.
At this point, Fear, you're looking for numbers advantages. Perry, if Perry and Shochi can pick someone off immediately, go alt for alt, so that they can take someone out, that's the dream scenario that you're hoping for here, especially with the fact that Fake God, when he's on the map, there's no one really besides Philip who could potentially take him out of the picture. And even still, with that Counter-Strike up, Fake God has a lot of opportunity to carry these team fights. So while it's good that Fear managed to rotate up and get this second Rift Herald, the fact that Fake God is getting solo gold right now and shoving waves in is very scary to me. And you can see it. He has the most gold in the game right now.
Yeah, Fake God is arguably one of our best top laners in the league right now. I mean, he's leading the league in pretty much every laning stat, has great combat stats, and considering this is all on a 7-17, a team that's going dead even, it shows you the caliber of player this guy really is, as right now leading Disguised with gold.
That's right, the entire gold lead Disguised have at the moment is on him. Things are still looking pretty good here for Disguised at the moment. Big things for Fear again. Numbers advantages are what you're looking for. Minui needs to be as far away from anybody as possible and just do damage with his ult. He's going for that lethality build. You see the Duskblade coming through, another serrated Dirk. Means that the damage from the ultimate, once he gets to 2 to 3 items, it is going to hurt a lot. So Fear have the opportunity to set up some great team fights, but that burden of execution is much higher for them as it is for DSG.
It's a little bit of a struggle, because you look at Fear, look at players like JJ, and try and figure out what is their job in this. Is it to protect Minui, or is it to dive in with Perry and the rest of the squad to try and get these picks? It's going to be pretty tricky if fights go the way that we saw earlier, where Disguise can get those flanking plays. I think Vision, again, is going to be the most crucial thing for Cincinnati Fear to try and take a lead onto this one. For Disguised, most part, it has been smooth sailing, and they're holding steady.
You can see it looking for an opportunity to drop the Rift Herald there for Cincinnati Fear. They just haven't found it yet. They haven't even taken down a turret, leaning towards where Shochi is at the moment just because of the wave clear he's got going for him with that static shiv built up. It's going to be pretty easy for you to knock down one structure, get some more gold back in your pocket. At least that is a bit of easy gold Fear can earn from themselves. Only 1k behind, you get some of these outer turrets and you can even things up pretty quickly. What I want to see from them, especially this next minute and a half, don't fight this next dragon. Focus on the top side of the map, knock down the tier 1 turret. If you can knock down a second one and just get a big trade up in gold for it, that just becomes super worth in my eyes, because at this moment, you're going to lose a team fight at the dragon.
Still a minute 15 seconds before that dragon does spawn up. We'll see who tries to get first positioning there. I am going to hinge my bets onto Disguise, given Fake God has control over on that bottom side. Meech, excellent wave clear, will face off with the Misfortune. And already moving into that direction, Zeyzal trying to pivot onto the ramp. Here we'll have to contest here, still another 50 seconds. Backing off will be Philip. Good thing right now, okay, Philip is taking a recall. I want to see what purchase he's going to get before this fight does come to fruition. Let's see.
Oh, got 2 items. Okay, that's a pretty big deal. That's a big spike there for the GP. Those barrels will crit for a lot, and with the drop of the Rift Herald, Fear will actually have that earlier position. It doesn't take down the turret, but that's okay. You got the space that you needed, and you're forcing DSG to actually walk away.
Yeah, this is really good right now. Philip will have a greater teamfight presence. Not as if, like, Gangplank already wasn't one of the most menacing team fighters, because you could just press R and there you are, right?
Hey, kind of rhymes.
Yeah, he's a pirate.
Ah, true. Well played.
Kept it on the theme. All being said, though, Young will find a pretty good play over on the top side. He does get a solo turret.
Yeah, so this one is interesting. I mean, Young does take the advantage of Fear's position bot side to take a turret, get that gold for himself and DSG, and he still has the teleport, meaning he can join at any time. So DSG, they don't have to worry necessarily about a trade on the top side because Fear are going to all in for this Drake, but this one's going to be tough. Remember, Manui has both summoners, but is so vulnerable. So can you actually protect him in these team fights? And it's looking like they just don't bother.
It will be a pretty big challenge. I mean, Minui has both his sums
Shochi.
up. Shochi's on a flank right now. Zeyzal's still in that same spot that Zeyzal was earlier. Ooh, stalking out. We'll find Shochi over the wall, and the rest of the skies absolutely destroy him. Philip will throw down the cannon barrage, but Fear want none of what Disguised are bringing.
Oh, Disguised are bringing more, it looks like.
Ooh, nice sidestep coming out from JJ. Zeyzal still on the hunt, looking for more. Wants to take down the cow, unbreakable. Will put up those defenses, but that is an ultimate burn to survive Disguised.
This is what I'm talking about here. These fights are so hard for you as Cincinnati Fear and DSG. Really good warding of the flanks, knowing Shochi is going to come from somewhere on this bottom side and immediately jumping on him. It earns DSG more gold, it earns them their soul point, and it's put Fear in a very difficult position, Destrex, because the fact is, they got nothing for the Drake that they just lost. They even gave away more gold in a kill of Shochi. So that trade-off I was hoping for on the other side of the map doesn't happen, and DSG continue the lead.
And they did the same play twice, and it worked out perfectly. Hide Zeyzal over there in that corner. The first time he hops over the wall to grab Minui, second time it's Shochi. Zeyzal is starting up these fights for Disguised. It's getting them a strong lead right now. They're already at Dragon Soul Point with a 1.5k lead at 21 minutes. Well, it's not the most. It still shows how active they're being, which is something we're definitely asking from them leading into this matchup.
They've been showing it to us so far, as they have actively put Fear in the dirt here in game 1 of our first series today. And now it's Zeyzal again. The best support from last split, bar none, is looking to continue holding on to that title here in summer. It's just been incredible. Whatever team he is playing for, he contributes so much.
In fact, I'm only growing out my beard because of Zeyzal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He inspired you?
Yeah, he inspired me.
Wow.
It's just glorious. Looks lovely. It's never going to look as good as his, because mine is just all black. I can't really do much with it, but his, that's some beard.
We'll be sure to get Sierra to tell him that if they win in game 2.
Fear now setting up into the mid lane. Ooh, nice
really.
combo onto Meech. Meech still has the Featherstorm.
Oh,
in the worst position!
Nice pick.
Oh my goodness, bring the pain, Minui! Cincinnati Fear will find a pick.
A pick and a much needed turret here. That's the jungler down. Fear, they could be looking to set up for the Baron. They used the Spirit Rush, but they still have Perry's ultimate here. At this point, where you're at in the game, you gotta just go for broke as Cincinnati Fear.
And this is why you can never count Fear out. You're able to find one pick, and they instantly transfer that over to Baron pressure. Zeyzal on one side. Meech is a little bit too far. But what's this? Cincinnati Fear.
Oh yeah,
They're not going
used the
for it.
redemption. He used it from the gray screen. On top of all the damage they were taking and how slow it was, Fear just decided to back off. But that pick is an example of what I'm talking about, Eric. Numbers advantage. You see 2 people in lane, but there's 4 of you, kill them. They're trolling. And that's the only opportunity Fear is really going to have outside of some of these neutral objectives if they can get there first.
And the focus was good, Beat. They know Meech has the Featherstorm, so they turn it elsewhere, and that is how they grab that pick. Cincinnati Fear. They shrink the lead only about 500 gold, but they still got a long way to climb because I'm looking, minute 40 seconds, we'll have a dragon up, and that would be soul for Disguised. Fear got to get an answer, and they got to find it quick.
Yeah, I mean, this Cloud Soul would be very good for DSG. It means that in the coming minutes, we'll have a pretty early, relatively early Elder contest if it gets to that point there. Fear, now, because they tried to fight for the 3rd Drake and ended up losing, they do find themselves a little bit behind. I will say, even though DSG have been picking up all the neutrals, they're only up 1,000 gold, and that's narrowed a little bit because of the turret we just saw taken. Yeah. We look at item spikes. People are pretty even across the board for the most part. Even Tomio and Perry, if you actually do the math on how much their builds cost. The fact is just these comps and how they interact with each other. We consistently see the struggles that Fear face in trying to get these picks. Meech hasn't died because of all the peel that he has and the self-peel on his ultimate as well. And that's just going to continue to be a problem unless Fear managed to isolate and pick off somebody else.
Yeah, Philip has been scaling up quite a bit.
Getting big.
It's getting pretty big. Currently 0-0-3. A little bit behind in CS, but you really don't mind that as a gangplank. And now look at this. Baron going to be started up by Cincinnati Fear. It's only going to be the duo of the top and jungle, and they're trying to sneak it, B.
I think this is going to work, because at this point he does a lot of damage here, and the fact that Manui and JJ, they're doing the best dance that they can to try and... I think they blue warded. So let's see how much it is. They might as well finish it. They have to.
Oh, Minui tries to go in, but it's a Magnet Storm of Zazel that's going to stop the bullet time. Minui's going to fall. Meech gets low. Baron's been secured by Cincinnati Fear. Here comes Shochi, able to land the charm right onto the Azir. Young still bringing damage in. Out comes the Cannon Barrage. Does not take down Meech. Cincinnati Fear, they'll lose a member, but they get the sneaky Baron.
I'll tell you what, that's a trade you take every day of the week, Eric. Really nicely done. Minui and JJ doing the best dance they can as the Turo Baron buff has been secured there for Cincinnati Fear. But you look on the other side, because of the timing, because they lost Manui, it will be the Dragon Soul going over to Disguise. Still, considering how the rest of this game has gone, it is still kind of worth. You increase the pushing power here of Shochi and Philip, and you do get more upfront gold into your back pockets. You can see this was the turning point here for Fear. If you look at the gold graph and see who has the most gold in Philip and Shochi.
I think this is worth, as long as Fear don't opt into any fights anytime soon. Yeah. As long as they play this towards the map. Because Minui got deleted that fast with Sums Up. He has nothing available to him right now. It's going to be a very tough call for Fear to take a team fight anytime soon, especially with Philip, who's also running low. And Disguise know this. They're going to go for the chase right now. Shochi, Spirit Rush over the wall. Harry will take a Vault Breaker.
Oh, I think Philip's in trouble.
So far empty-handed. They want to find something, man. They want to find Philip. Harry waiting in the brush. Over the wall comes Zazel, Fake God, and Young. But they see the rest of Fear, and they will give them their respects. Cincinnati Fear, they got to be very, very careful with this Baron buff. They were almost caught out.
That could have been really dangerous, Eric, but they hold on to all their Baron buff. They still have it for about a minute's time, and you can see they want to use this pressure to focus on the bot side, but this is so dangerous. Shochi is showing on the mid wave. DSG can just go for the all-in.
Right, Disguised, posturing up. Unbreakable still available for JJ if they do engage onto him. They will have some resistances to deal with it, but Shochi missing that Spirit Rush. You're not going to have a good enough fight for Cincinnati Fear. It was already tough as it was. Now Disguised just holding off.
Here, they are playing on a knife's edge at the moment here. The fact that there's just a couple of times where one small step would lead to a literally game-ending engage. But Fear, for the moment, they are still holding on. They are still farming, reaching some of these item spikes. Again, the fact that they're ahead at this point and have lost a lot of these skirmishes that are full 5v5 really just show how much easier it is for DSG to play out their team compositions. But if we look at Fear, they've got 3 items on Philip. You've got the death cap for Shochi. They have scaled up. They do a lot of damage if they manage to get on top of somebody. And that's the only thing that's been working for Fear so far this game. Isolated pick. Someone steps up just a little too far, and Perry and Shochi are able to blow them up. You need to hope DSG take that step again.
Yeah, this is where we want that proactivity to come out from Disguised. Have to be pretty careful on their setup. They still have plenty of ways to get back into this game. I mean, it's not all said and done. It's just a 1.5k gold lead. But things are starting to look like a momentum swing in favor of Fear. Now they're jumping onto Minui. Again, Minui has no flash. Will throw out the ultimate teleport coming through from Young. And Disguised have found the proactivity. They'll pick off the bottom lane of Cincinnati Fear.
And it looked so good for just a moment there, but Fake God making the big flash into the Counter-Strike is able to make it happen. And honestly, until that moment, Fear were playing the map pretty well. You could see they had all waves pushing in their favor, and DSG's foregone all of that just to make sure they can group up, isolate, and take somebody out of the picture. And it's just more gold into their pockets for this upcoming Elder fight, because at this point, we're almost certainly going to see that happen.
So much of that gold going on to Meech, the marksman, who is very, very much a skilled ADC. Ever since we saw him back on CLG Challengers, even with that squad being paired up with Breezy, they looked amazing in the bottom lane. Meech had some of the best laning stats last split. There's a question of how well would he work with Zeyzal? How much was Breezy carrying him? Zeyzal's got the beard, bro. We already talked about it a little bit earlier, but for the most part, Zeyzal is an experienced, high-caliber support, so he's only going to bring that much more to Meech's gameplay, and it's shining through.
Right, and so far, especially in this game, Meech's gameplay has been pretty good here. 4-0-2 getting this comp, and his pick does make it a lot easier for him to survive, but he has been putting out damage. He's been farming well so far in game 1 of the series, and at this point, it's just Perry baiting himself out to set up some barrels here for Philip. That damage from range, I don't want to call it poke just because it does so much damage at this point there. With this level 17 Gangplank,
Not a poke,
3
it's a
items
stab.
and change in his pockets. Yeah, it's like a throwing knife or something.
I'm not too good at those, by the way.
Me neither, but Philip is. That's what matters.
Absolutely an expert.
And look, he's
at
got
it.
an item that's a bunch of throwing knives. Look at it.
And he's got a bow and arrow now, finished
Yeah,
off with the
exactly.
last Whisper. So
Exactly. Yeah. See?
he does not miss.
It's all about the projectiles here for Philip. And it's Fear now who are just all about trying to find the pick. Perry and Shochi, they've just constantly been looking. But DSG have given them very few chances.
Oh, they might look for Fake God. This would be a tough engage, especially to start off on
Yeah,
Fake
Perry
God.
knows not to do that.
Yeah. It's Fake God with an hourglass, by the way. So
Ooh,
even if you
I
do get the
love
catch
that.
out there, he's going to pop it and you don't really catch him.
Yeah, be a very big difference maker. Now, and you mentioned it too. We're seeing stasis come all across the board here. It's actually 3, counting the Zonya's Hourglass for DSG, and only the 1 on Perry.
Oh, Jochi goes in 3-man stun,
big
coming out from
stun.
Fake God, and Zeyzal will follow through. Putting out
the
some
damage.
distance,
Wait.
looking to get away. It's getting turned by Cincinnati
winning.
Fear. Embers Divide will pull away Fear. Young gonna go golden. Fake God still on the flank, goes right after Philip. Gets knocked up by JJ, gets the stun through. Philip still surviving. Hourglass gonna be popped. Looking to use the barrel. Shut down, found by Philip. Cincinnati Fear give one right back. A 3-for-2 exchange in favor of Cincinnati Fear. What a war.
Hold on. Okay, JJ. So for the first time, Fear actually trade up in this entire game, and you're seeing the damage that this Gangplank is able to put out, and you're just seeing what was a good team fight here for Cincinnati Fear. Watch JJ, Fake God, looking for another big Counter-Strike play, and you see the angle coming through here, but not only does Manui and Philip fly from the Misfortune ultimate with all the lethality that Manui has built, has been just finally paying dividends.
You see how at threat Minui is, but as you said, Beat, when that damage goes off, it was a big impact in that team fight to turn around, but you still got to respect Fake God, because you can
JJ's
see
low.
that Fake God is looking for that back line. Now Shochi moves forward. Elder Drake is up, 10k health remains, teleport going to be used, Fake God arrives, 5 members there for Disguised, but you don't have the whole party for Cincinnati Fear. Only 3 members are up. This Elder Drake goes to Disguised.
And Fake God, yeah, I mean he could just blow someone up with this Elder buff. But it was a big fight for Fear. Finally able to trade up, but it wasn't enough. They lost Perry in the process. Oh, and they might lose him again.
Oh yeah, they might lose him once again. The rest of the squad are able to get there in time to take down the jungler of Fear. Meech cashes in and Disguise spot the purple worm.
Philip almost able to help turn that around a little bit, but it's as you say, Baron will go over to DSG, and they have everything they need to close it out, as now they have the Turo Baron buff for themselves.
Disguised in the late game. Complacency is an issue. Being inactive, a big problem. This time, it's not going to be that way. Fake God constantly jumping on the backline. Tomio doing a great job of protecting the carries. The amount of peel, the amount of engage, the amount of disengage that Disguise have brought, it's given them the lead right now at only 1k. But with a Baron buff and a Dragon Soul, it is so much more than it seems.
Yeah, the lead doesn't really matter. It never really has. It's been 2k at most in favor of DSG's side throughout this game. Again, it's just been the comps and how they interact. It's been so DSG favored, as we've seen time and time again in this game. And we're seeing too, we saw the stasis really come into clutch in those last fights. Well, everyone has upgraded them to Zhonya's on the side of DSG, so they're gonna have access to that kind of time buying power again in this fight.
Here we go. Be engaged. It's going to be on the fill up. Well, Zeyzal following through. An easy shutdown going to be found. Young will cash in for that one. And now down a top laner is going to be Cincinnati Fear. DSG are knocking at your door.
And they are knocking hard. They will not take no for an answer as another structure falls. And Fear, looking for the bush play, they get punished for it. Hoping that they can at least slow this Baron buff, slow this Elder buff a little bit so that they don't end up losing the game, but they just might.
Zeyzal's looking for it. So is Fake God. Jumps in. Counter-strike. No stun. JJ was able to get the knockup, but it did cost him his Unbreakable. Will not have that for the next fight. I think you're going to need it because that fight's coming soon, Beat.
They're looking right now. Bullet time. Oh, it does so much damage.
Oh, a good chunk right there. Takes half alpha, about 2 members. Shochi lands a charm. It goes on to Zeyzal. Daisy's going to come down. The Nexus Tower number 1 going to fall with it. Now, so far, Shochi looking to clear the wave, but this is a Baron-empowered wave. Oh, the Magnet Storm going to be used. Zeyzal gets pushed right into the fountain by JJ. Down a man is going to be disguised. Emperor Survive goes out. Guardian Angel gets popped away. No more Nexus Towers to defend, though. Parry gets dropped. And now here we go. The last stand coming out from Cincinnati Fear. Philip doing the work, but Meech finds a double kill. Wants to make it a triple. It's Fake God who gets the shutdown. And JJ, the last survivor, is only food to be fed to Meech. Disguise take game 1.
And man, what a convincing one too. Fear, they tried to keep it close for a while, but ultimately we saw from the comp that Disguised had that Fear were on the back foot from basically minute 1, and it showed.
Yeah, they were on the back foot, but they fought damn hard. It made it a much closer game than we thought it was going to be. Look at Phillips' damage right here. He was really ranking in those barrels.
Play well. He did play well. It was a good showing. Once we saw that second item come through, he was really starting to put in a lot of damage. But that shielding we highlighted from the Ivern, the support build that he ends up going with, things like the Redemption, ended up being so clutch. And Manui's damage is kind of a testament to how much he struggled in this game because of the Misfortune pick. It was so easy for people to isolate him. They would just commit flash after flash off cooldown. SRX to make sure that he wasn't able to output any damage, and it reflects in the stats.
Well, I got good news for Sierra. Disguise stonks are going up. We're going to throw it over to short break. When we return, we'll have Sierra on the other side with the Rally Cry halftime show. The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Find your drive.